the machine concept, the genesis of which began as this kind of self-made idea based around an individual, has morphed into something significantly more powerful. And that is the team dynamic. All right, we are back in the team room, and today I'm going to answer a question I get quite frequently, and it's one that I actually really enjoy explaining because it's a fun ride, and it shows just in itself an evolution that I think all of us can learn from, myself in particular. And that is, where did the machine come from? Where did the term come from? So the genesis of the term machine, the genesis of the machine goes to 2015. It was my first deployment back to Afghanistan as an amputee. And that particular mission, we moved around most of the country for most of the time we were there. Well, it didn't take long before word of mouth spread really fast. And there was this one-legged robot that was showing up in these villages and engaging with these different people and conducting these different operations we were doing. And there was one particular day when we rolled into a village that no American had been to as far back as anyone was able to track. And a bunch of kids came running out, which is pretty common. And it's a good sign also for us. A bunch of kids come running out, and some of our guys are handing out candy and soccer balls and whatnot. And I come around the corner of this truck, and they all just stop, and they're like looking up at me, which is a pretty common response regardless of how old a person is. So these kids are all looking up at me, and then one of them just mutters out, Palowani Machina, which is Dari for machine fighter. And they just kept saying, oh look, it's the machine fighter, Palowani Machina, Palowani Machina. And I speak enough Dari to understand simple, basic conversation, so I know what they're saying. And I immediately kind of understood it, right? There's like this cyborg that's showing up. It's a lot to process for anybody. You can imagine the level of shock when you're living in a remote, extraordinarily rural village in Afghanistan, and you've never seen an American ever before in your life, and all of a sudden this 6'6", 240-pound, one-legged mutant starts walking towards you. Palowani Machina, Palowani Machina. So it kind of caught fire on that deployment, and then as we continue to move throughout the AO, we'd show up to different villages and the same thing would happen. And it just became kind of a running joke between me and my teammates. It was kind of just a cool story, cool effect, right? That what we were doing, it was getting around, and we kind of just had fun with it. Well, fast forward to the following year, 2016, and my team and I were deployed to Somalia. So an entirely different continent, an entirely different operation. And within a month, the same exact thing happened. This time it started off with me being referred to as computer, which is the way they pronounced it. It was kind of their terminology for cyborg. And then that quickly evolved into machine. So, whole different continent, a year later, and we're rolling into villages, we're rolling into downtown district areas, and kids, adults are coming out going, you're the machine. So my teammates, of course, are loving this because it's just kind of a funny story, and that's really where it stuck. So that was the genesis of the term. That was the genesis of this. It was based around an individual. It was based around me as the machine. What it has evolved to today, as I sit here, is not an individual. It is a concept. It is a philosophy. It is a way of thinking. It is an idea that revolves around taking specific components, and when putting them together strategically, when those components come together as a single organism, something special can happen. You create a team. A team that is able to work in harmony with each other. You have created an organism. You've created a life force. You've created a machine. So what I particularly like about this story is it moves from the individual to a team dynamic. And there are many of us out there that have adopted this self-made mentality. And I understand what most people mean when they say that. That transfers to most as a lot of really early mornings alone, a lot of really late nights alone, a lot of believing in yourself when no one else does, and grinding anyway to meet a goal. If you know anything about me, I love everything about what I just said. But that term self-made can also be dangerous, because in actuality, no one successful is actually literally self-made. There are going to be other individuals and or other opportunities that we take advantage of if we choose to, if we act on it, that creates the acceleration, that takes us to that next echelon of progression, that helps us reach that next objective. Therefore, the machine concept, the genesis of which began as this kind of self-made idea based around an individual, has morphed into something significantly more powerful. And that is the team dynamic. That is surrounding ourselves deliberately with people better than us, people that we can learn from, people that push us, people that pick us up when we get knocked on our ass. And collectively, we create something phenomenal, like a machine.